If you haven't heard already, let me explain. Since the last World War was fought over 70 years ago, when the Nazis were defeated, there hasn't been a war even close to its global magnitude. In 2023, a world war took place and it sealed a victory for Africa, and the world today as we know it is better. World War 2023, when Africans unified and locked up arms against the regime of colonists who had been trying to deceive and swindle their continent in a waged white-collar war for decades. Africa was against all odds, and it looked like it had been defeated in every area. The world counted them out of the picture of ever reestablishing themselves as a successful territory, yet alone a superpower in today's society. This war was thought to be over, and the spoils were divided amongst the wealthy and the elites. Africa's finances were exhausted by deceptive loans taken from prior generations. Their military was strong and ineffective. And most of the countries in Africa relied on militaries from foreign allies to protect them, as the world now looked towards the West to garner security within their regions. European nations and the United States portfolios showed for a more promising future. What the world wasn't realizing is that the land in which the Africans lived on, underneath their feet, were riches that had been hidden up for them. Treasures of gold and minerals that in today's world are essential to every prosperous nation. They needed to continue and thrive. I'm going to come back to that, but I've laid a base and a foundation, but I'll come back to that. While the majority of the world is taking great stock in the world's going on in Ukraine, bombs blasting, guns firing, and people dying for the land that they hold dear. The war in Israel and Palestine, demonic massacres, massive missile bombardments, people burning alive to find only ashes, with the catastrophic loss of lives and homes. Who's right, who's wrong? It could go on like this until the rapture. Meanwhile, while the world is watching this political and religious war, it's like a show. Africa, however, in this moment, regaining possession of their territories, and while the mayhem continues to show how wars are fought with missiles and military, Africa was winning the war with zero loss of lives. They've managed to defeat their foes with the unity of its like-minded people alone. The people of Africa rose up and confronted the West which had taken hold of their land and livelihoods with rules and playbooks and laws they had written to tie them down. The citizens and the people of Africa said no more. This war that Africa had been losing for 200 years was totally reevaluated, and Africa took to the offense. Like I said, it wasn't fought with guns, it was fought with heart. It wasn't determined by old laws of the enemies, it was determined by God and the people of Africa. And it was not won with missiles and bombs and planes and guns, it was won with heart and soul of a nation that said no more. Get out. Get out now. The African leaders in the majority of the countries stood in solidarity with the people, and the voices became one. The world superpowers began their retreat of Africa. Other world superpowers saw the strength and will and assets of what Africans had to offer and ran towards them with open arms, knowing the future's there. Africa had taken back its control. Africans had taken back their futures. If a country's leader didn't align with the new united Africa, there were new leaders that would outwit and retake control of those areas. This was a chess match that Africa had been playing with pawns, but still outsmarted the Western colonizers and captured their castles, bishops, rooks, and queens. And just when the West thought it had Africa in checkmate, they themselves were surrounded with nowhere to go. It was over. The white flags were raised in surrender by the West. Foreign militaries had no choice but to pack up and go home. 200 years of winning battles and controlling land they didn't own was over. The 2023 history books from here on out, you're surely going to hear about the Ukraine war, and you're definitely going to hear about the Israel and Palestinian war, and others which were going on at the time. Death tolls will be announced. Militaries that took the most land will be declared the victors. But the second largest continent on Earth, with the second largest population of 1.5 billion people, have won a war without firing a single shot and took back an entire continent. For those who've seen this take place, they'll vouch for it. Those who've seen it, and those who have seen it, tell the people down in the comments what happened. Those who are seeing this in the future, you'll read the comments. The Africans who were part of this era, they're heroes. And to those who don't understand, or know what happened in Africa in 2023? Well, it's probably because America, Europe, and a few other superpower countries didn't want to advertise a war that they lost to the new up-and-coming superpower, the United Africa. In wars, you see territory that was once communist fight against a territory of democracy. The winner gets to implement their rules, right? Africa's changed this playbook. It kicked out France military and invited some Russians to come along in the military training and assist them in artillery drills. But they're keeping the democracy. It's trading with China and the US and India and Russia and England and whoever has the supplies and needs to help boost their economy. But it's not getting involved in debates about who's right and who's wrong about this or that. They're changing the whole format on world trade. The BRICS, they brought more African countries into the committee, and it really shows a bright future in bringing more and more and more with every summit. Take notes, world. Africans have outsmarted and out-hearted the machine the most intelligent minds ever walked the earth had built. So in closing, let me just say that I know threads like this one don't get often shared in the moment or time that they're made, so I don't expect this video to go viral today. But one day in the future, kids will be doing their essays on the history of Africa, and this video will pop up. They'll come and research its findings, and there'll be thousands upon thousands of recorded stories and events that took place, and the fact checks with what I've spoken about will all come up good. And they will say, the African patriots of 2023 were the most challenged generation, with the most obstacles of any other, and the enemies in front of them more than they'd ever known. Yet they were the most fearless and strongest Africans that ever lived on the planet. I'm not talking about a military of 10,000 state-of-the-art jets with 5,000 nuclear submarines stationed across the world. I'm talking about 1.5 billion Africans who said enough is enough and meant it. The world's still watching to see what's next with this generation of Africans, what they'll do with the power they've regained. And not many people are betting against them anymore. To God be all the glory. Live long and prosper. Now, Africa, reap your harvest. Let me just say thank you all for watching. I'm very humbled by your subscriptions and your subscribing and following our channel here. We want to say thank you all for watching. I ask that you share this video with the world, your friends and family, those of you in Africa. Congratulations. I just want to say you are a hero to the world. You're heroes to the world. You know who I'm talking about because you're the ones who did this. You're the ones who fought this battle, fought this war, and have won. So congratulations to you. Let's see what 2024 has to offer.